Yes, Jaja Morph here. I got a public announcement. You need to get this book, Modern African Art. If you want to know the real history about art, it starts here. Make sure you go grab that. I've started reading it. Jeez. Yeah. Just off to the Lightbox, which is an art gallery in Woking. It looks very modern, and there's not much parking available. Just for if you're maybe person that's disabled, you can park. And you've got management and also staff, etc. Parking. So it's recommended to park inside the Woking shopping centre. But as you can see behind me, this is the building itself. And it's quite glorious. Not much space at the front, but it looks very promising inside. And as you go towards the entrance, you can see that you can have, if you come by bike, you can park your bike here, just at this section here. And the door itself swings open to allow you in. So you can then go inside, and it's pretty modern. Tells you admission times, etc. Got nice little members are free. Day pass, £12.50. So that's that. As you can see, it's quite a nice entrance. Smooth floors, a lot of light, and the walls are sort of glass. The strips to give it a nice colouring, and the first thing I see are sculptures. This one by someone called John Davies. It's 1946, so it tells you a little bit about him. So enough time to read that. So it's a piece of sculpture of a face. Human figures, these works centered around that. And you've got another huge piece here. It looks from a distance, looks like a tree trunk that they've carved it for a tree trunk, but I don't think it is. Not sure exactly what the material is, but it's really nice. And this is also by John Davies. Yeah. I'm not quite sure if he's a local artist or if just a renowned UK or British artist. And this looks like work from a lady called Lynn Chadwick. It is Lynn Chadwick. This is 1914 to 2003. Yeah, beautiful. Reminds me a lot like Henry Moore's work. Very similar in that way. And this is a sort of a lenient structure. There's another piece here, looks like two men carrying a pig, I think, Maybe it made a slaughterhouse or something. And it's done by Ralph Brown. And that is 1928 to 2013. So, and there's the last one I can see at the front entrance. This looks very, very sort of Celtic or African, or say organic, primal, and that's by Bernard Meadows, 1915 to 2005, as you can see. And this is distance, what the gallery looks like. You've got 2 levels, it appears. It could even be 3 levels, but at the moment it looks like 2 levels from where I am. And it's got a nice little reception area as well. And here you can see they've got little crafts work, that artists have done. Pottery, absolutely delightful, you can see. And all the glazing on it and the rest of it. And then they've got some sort of brooch-like things with animals, butterfly, etc. And even more modern, I'd say, pottery and wood carved utilities like, you know, containers, etc., boxes, maybe for jewelry, and then things like earrings and glassware, lovely handmade glassware, and some sort of robins, clocks, you know, and even more jewelry. Really, really nice. And there's some more pottery here. Looks like different people. Okay. And yeah, it's lovely. I do like some of the jewelry. Some of it's kind of very nice. It's probably, is that glazed? Not sure. Could be glazed. There's some more. More here. Some timber ones. And some all very sort of chic glazing down there. Yeah. And I'll try and take the names of the people so that you know who they are, if it's possible. Let's see. Okay, and that's that. Okay, so as you can see, and it says own beautiful, affordable works of art. So if you want to purchase something, you can here. This is like the area that you can buy, you know, goodies for people. And it's got pencils and books you can buy as well. Yeah, and that's Henry Moore drawings. Seems attractive. Revisit modern British art. That's good. So interesting books, and these are probably for kiddies. Some of these, maybe not. Some like craft work. But yeah, there's some kiddie-looking books over there. Andy Warhol, Yoko Ono, Jean-Michel Basquiat up there. Very, very good. Famous art colours. That's worth looking at. And you can see more sort of motifs, things that have been made by artists. Earrings, bags. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, purses, you know, wallets and bags. Very nice, very nice. Very nice. Mini cards. So as you can see, it's called the shop. This is reception, and then you've got the dining area, or cup of tea where you can relax. And you've got other people, groups of people that sit down in the morning, relax. Really interesting. Yeah. There's also another little piece here. Well, first I'll show you the garden. It's a really, really marvellous garden. I can imagine when they're having an exhibition or some sort of book signing or something of that nature in the summer, people can sit out there and relax. It's really good. We are in the winter at the moment, so we can leave the kiddies to rest, I think. You know, lie down. And you got the sculpture of the rabbit there. Very nice. Yeah. They've got a nice little unit here where you can put your goods or bags away, and you can use the local restroom. So this is Ingram collection. It's the Lighthouse Gallery, obviously, and that's Chris Ingram. It says with Google head, so it's a character that he's created, presumably. And there's the Art Fun Prize Gallery. You'll see there above. And there's all artwork on the wall. So it says the Winter Artist Showcase. So showcasing artists. I'm not sure if it's local artists or it's national artists or international, but probably more local, I would have thought. I'm not sure. I do like these tiles, these ceramic tiles. Very colourful and vibrant. And these cards are quite nice as well. Fun. Oh, I love these paintings, these flowers. Floral, again vibrant and colourful. You know, maybe going back 10 years ago, UK wasn't that colourful or vibrant or anything like that, but I think I've learnt a lot from the sort of modern African artists. Colours now really, really accepted. It used to be grey and dull, a lot of stuff. But yeah, look at these cushions. Very vibrant, colourful. Truth be told. Very nice. Oh, okay, so it's looks like resin work. I've done a few resin work myself, but yeah, it's quite fun doing it. I was taught by local artists in Croydon, and I think I've got a video of that actually. Right. Well, now I'm on the first floor, so it's ground floor, first floor, and there's a second floor. So it's, yeah, 3 stories high. It's got high ceilings as well, and very interesting. In the corridor, as soon as you come out from the lift, one from Sean Henry. It's a lady, she's carrying a man in her hand, and there's another one which is a picture, pencil and paper, by the same artist, Sean Henry. That's 1965. Says, okay. So, love the architectural interior. It's basically modernist concrete structure. Yeah, concrete floors that have been polished and painted, and you've got the lift, steel doors in terms of the lift, and you've got can overlook, you know, space itself, look down to the sculptures down below. Yeah, very nice, and it's not echoey or anything like that. It's well designed. It reminds me of an art gallery we saw in Barcelona when we visited Barcelona, myself and EJ, some time back. I think it was a couple of years ago, to be honest. So you can go upstairs with me. You can see this relief. Yeah? Yeah, you go by the lift, yeah? Okay. Well, I'll go up and have a look, show you what's there. Or you can have a go after, yeah? So, yeah. So I'm just going up to the top because EJ's she can't go to come up here to have a look at the moment. So, as you can see, it's quite nice, restful space. But I think they teach, it's like a play area with patterns. These patterns, they come off, you can see. So it's a good way of getting your children to know how to coordinate colours together, you know, and just by moving them around, and can make formations. So it says playing with pattern, yeah. So a really good idea that. And from here you can see inside the gallery space below, which I'm going to go to very soon. Love the way the windows are made. It's got like a plastic in between for expansion. It's a kiddie play area, to be honest. Got books for children, and you've got their workshop things. Sculptures at centre, under 5s, mini painters. So cool. It says make and play. Okay. So this is the upper gallery, the ambassador room, that's what it's called. And first gallery space I'm going to go to is very interesting. So is it called an Ingram collection? Ingram. I don't know why it's called Ingram. Maybe that's the name of someone.
Probably a bit like, do you know who Alan Sugar is?
Yes, I do.
Right.
I do.
I connect him to Alan Sugar.
Of those days.
Somebody who perhaps didn't have a decent education, bought business or started a business, bought a business, and managed to get money.
Okay.
And in about the 1980s and 90s, he started to buy a piece of Elizabeth Rink or a piece of Palazzi. And there was some in his office, some of his house, which was upsetting his wife, and some in New York under a strict safety. And people started saying to him, "You are buying 20th century art." So he started to amass a collection of 20th century British art. Drawings, paintings, sculptures. And by the time we started here, if you've got time, I'll tell you the story.
Yes, please.
Our director at the time, Marilyn Scott, was told by Woking Borough Council or suggested that she went to see him. At the time, he was the owner of Woking Football Club, and everybody knew that he had money. So she went to see him, they had a cup of tea, she told him all about, this is before we opened, all about the Lightbox and how we desperately need money. And apparently he stayed silent the whole time. So she got up to leave and said, "Well, maybe you're not interested." And he said, "Will you please sit down and allow me to talk?"
Good.
I have on CD, or however format he had it, my collection of 250 pieces of British 20th century art. Would you like me to loan them to you? Which of course was a godsend. So we have in storage, and some here, his collection. Since we opened, we have prison work here, mental health work here, Woking College work here. His amassed collection now is over 700 pieces.
Wow.
He's still, when he can, buying 20th century British art. He loves the drawings of Elizabeth Rink, because what also endears him is not the main sculpture that everybody knows of. It's either the drawings behind it or the graphic design behind it. And at one point he was, I don't know whether you know of Palazzi, but he can do these very fancy, intricate designs with pen and ink and embroidery. Chris Ingram was able to buy the plaster cast of Palazzi's hands, and they are massive.
Themes of emotional abuse, love, etc. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Looks like Black History type thing. Not sure. There's digital prints. Oh, digital artist. They must get enough muscle and fat and bone. Oh wow. Looks like it was done by two artists. Oh no, it's actually the Madinah Farhannah Thompson. Yeah. So it's her digital art exhibition. Very interesting. And he killed me, looked me in the eyes and killed me. Wow. It's more by the same artist. It's a bit of poetry.
We opened with Aardman Animation. Aardman boys that made the morph went to Woking, what was Woking Grammar School.
Oh, the character morph.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yes. And so of course they obviously wanted to open with something that was local.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And for 3 months we had queues out of here, down the stairs to the bridge.
Wow, that is huge.
Yeah, and I could probably tell you the exact layout of this gallery.
Okay.
We started with the history of animation, which I had just previously done with my brownies. We had their desk over there with all their scribbles on it in that corner. And obviously we had a lot of their figures in big cases that they'd used over the time. And everybody thinks that Nick Park made them. No, Nick Park joined the Aardman brothers because they were the ones up and coming.
Okay.
But everybody seems to think that it was Nick Park.
Who's he?
He was the one that joined them, that got the Wallace and Gromit ones going.
Okay.
But they have been going for some time.
When you say Wallace and Gromit, was he the one who created
Yes.
Wallace and Gromit? So he learnt from the...
Yeah, so he
Morph.
came on board with the Aardman brothers. And they made Little Morph, and it was the little blue
Yeah.
sculpture. And they had actually called him Hard Man.
Wow,
H.
wow.
And they were given a cheque. We're talking 1960s because I was about 10. Because I was watching it on Blue Peter too.
Okay.
And they were given a cheque for £15.
1-5.
Yes.
Wow.
1960s.
Wow.
15-year-old boys. And because we learnt all this here, they couldn't open an account under Hard Man.
Okay.
So the first H of the H became a capital A,
Aardman.
which
Got
is
it.
why you've got a capital A and then a little a.
Okay.
You have Aardman Animations. They are still going in Bristol. By the time we opened here in 2007, one of the lads had given it up. He had sold his right.
Wow.
So we only have one of them here. And about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a big article in one of the national papers about them because they were running out of the resin that makes the sculptures.
Oh, wow. It's a special resin.
Yes.
Okay.
It comes from the ground and they're made because it's got to be so malleable to go through
All the moving. And
all the moving.
Yeah, yeah.
And the latest film is an hour and a half.
Wow.
So luckily, somehow, they have source because they were literally thinking they would have to close.
Okay.
But with this new one that came out over Christmas, they have obviously found another source.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Absolutely
Because that
brilliant.
is an hour and a half long.
Wow.
And it's all, hand puppeted and very much in the genre of what it was.
Do you know what the film's called?
It's the Wallace and, oh gosh, I can't remember, I haven't seen
But
it
it's
yet.
one that's come out in 2024.
Yeah, it was one over Christmas.
Okay. And what about the Wallace and Gromit? Do you know much about that?
Not a lot. I mean, I wasn't a big fan.
But did they ever show anything here?
Was it and Shaun the Sheep and those kind of things?
Yeah.
Shaun the Sheep, my children love.
Yeah.
So we watched those.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was our first exhibition here.
Yeah.
And that was massive.
Okay.
And something completely different. We did in 2009, we did the Da Vinci exhibition, which took over the whole place.
Wow.
We had aeroplanes, people had understood his drawings, and we had them hanging down from the ceiling.
Right.
But I can't remember dates, I'm no good at dates, but whenever he wrote anything down, he would also write in a cryptic way because you didn't have anything like copyright or anything in those days.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And people said he was dyslexic or didn't understand writing. It was because he always wrote it in a code.
Yeah.
And they even got the army to try and build something that he had made, but because they couldn't even understand his instructions, they actually couldn't build it properly.
Wow. Okay. And was it original pieces you had here?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had obviously sourced stuff, and
so the gallery's known.
Yes, upstairs we had the Codex.
Okay.
What was called the Da Vinci Codex.
Okay. Is that the one
of the big galleries in London?
Is that the one with the man in the middle? Or
no, we did have that picture here, but no, this is a little book.
Okay.
And it's called the Codex,
okay.
And it was in something like this, pinned to the floor, and every session there had to be a volunteer up there literally guarding, although you couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
We had to stand there guarding it.
Make sure no one took it.
Well, even touched it,
touched
because
it.
The alarms would go off.
Wow. So this is work by someone called Keith New, 1929. Okay. John Turned. Not Turner, Turned. It's interesting. Simon Palmer. He's got interesting colours, isn't he? Sort of. And Ingram. Information about the Ingram collection. And Fred Orman. That's interesting. You can see my silhouette there. So we've got some more work here. One by Edward Bowden, 1903. Okay, looks like a print actually, to be honest. Got some more. Roger Fry and Eric Ravilios. And this is Wyndham Lewis and Surrey Richards. Okay. I kind of like this chap, David Urquhart. So, reminds me, it's very cinematic, you know, the look of it and everything. So here you've got Simon Palmer and John Craxton, look like prints. Could be ink. It's called etching on paper. Yeah. 1956. And then John Claxton, that's for John Claxton. And Simon Palmer, The Holly Trees of Buxton Road, watercolour on paper. This one's watercolour on paper, and this one is etching on paper. You've got someone called Terry Frost, 1915 to 2003. And it's self-portrait. Interesting. Simon Palmer again. Watercolour on paper. Simon Palmer. Watercolour on paper. I like the way he does all like the rolling hills, you know, and the river and everything. It's a little bit like Lowry, but instead of skinny people, he's got fat people. You know, well, people of big size. And then you've got John Bellamy. Quite colourful. Interesting. Oil and canvas. Draws from his own experience. And there's a nice little buffet because there's a meeting. Edward Bowden. What's he done? There's this lino cut and colours. Oh wow, it's quite hard to do that. Lino cut. You can do it, but there's a lot of practice. It's quite enjoyable though if you have time to do it and test it out. The colours are coming out and stuff. This is a Ruskin Spear. It's a different name, isn't it? Ruskin Spear. That's oil on newspaper on board.
Chance to watch watch this, it explains what's happening.
Oh, is that the artist?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
yes.
That'd be cool.
Probably best to
So
watch.
he's explained what he's trying to achieve.
That'd be cool.
Do you have a chance to have a decent break?
Okay.
Coffee, because I don't know. Which is good.
So it's quite a big gallery. I like the headroom. It's probably about 10 meters high. And what's she famous for? What type of style?
Sculpture in about the 1960s. She was a contemporary of Henry Moore.
Yeah. Is that the one downstairs? There's one of her pieces downstairs?
Possibly.
Yeah,
Oh,
I sort of
yes,
saw, I
yeah.
thought Henry Moore.
And that's
definitely.
the very interesting bit about Elizabeth Frink. She never liked the female body,
Okay.
so she always did men. She did 4 standing men, but whenever she did the head and shoulders, because she actually ended up with 3 husbands, very disfigured from war,
Wow. Okay.
waking up with them all disfigured, and of course in those days they couldn't show emotion, so she either put masks on them or goggles.
Why couldn't they show emotions those days?
Well, 1960s men didn't, did they? They
Okay.
were supposed to be all powerful and, survive this.
Okay.
So to make you think and appreciate that men had feelings, she either put masks or goggles on her men.
Right, with you.
But you notice downstairs, I must admit I haven't noticed today, the only woman she did was the Madonna.
Okay.
A, she was a Catholic, and B, she could dress her.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
And
So,
Chris Ingram, who owns a lot of this collection that we have, was able to buy a Madonna. For 2 or 3 years, between sort of 6 and 7 and 8, I would spend a fortnight with a good friend of my mum's who lived in Dulwich. And every day we went round Dulwich Art Gallery
okay.
with the Dutch painters.
Okay.
And although I can remember the pictures, I can't remember the words.
Van
And that
Gogh?
is basically all I knew about art.
People like Van Gogh that time?
No, it was the Dutch painters,
Okay.
literally, and the family pictures.
Okay.
Because my interest in it's art and design and poetry and words.
Okay. So what's so important about art?
Because looking at art, which encompasses even music, dance, poetry, writing now, it's inspired me to be well, and it can engage people. You know, you sit people down at this table,
Yeah.
which is what Harold wants for you to, when you've understood or not understood this work, you're engaging in something that hopefully makes your mind just come alive. And something from nowhere comes. I
Inspiration.
spent Sunday all day having to write it on bits of paper because that's all I had with me, a poem.
Okay.
I don't know where it came from because it's not my normal style, and how I ended it about 12 hours later when I finally got to my room to write it out, it was not how I wanted to end it, but it just came.
It's nice.
And I think that's being engaged in talking to people, different art forms, and just letting words flow.
Yeah.
I can't draw, although people say anybody can draw, and I come from an artistic family, but I just like designing, creative, and understanding words. I do a lot of, I used to do a lot of teaching, understanding the Bible properly. But I just love writing poetry.
Okay. And what do you think artists bring to the game?
That this is their imagination, their thought process, and I'd like you to engage in it. If you don't like it, fine, but engage with me and try and understand where I'm coming from, like this guy here.
Okay.
And
is that impactful?
Sorry?
Is that impactful? What they want you to do?
Yeah,
Is that
well,
impactful?
he's trying to, say, well, okay, it was a bit of a broad title, The Lounge. But as when I did my talk before Christmas, it's basically to do with pattern,
Okay.
as you can see. But then if you engage that with the word lounge, which is hospitality and welcoming, it's also pattern of life,
Okay.
isn't it? If you want to take it a little bit further. And because a lot of people don't understand the word lounge because it's either sitting room, playroom. We have moved away. But yes, so a lot of people have come and actually more engaged with the patterns.
Yeah.
And especially done by the two groups, a disabled group and young people who aren't really, well, people have said not educationable, but, you know, they came together. And it's how they explored the fire of Clarendon, because unfortunately Clarendon had a fire in 2015, that was a well-known National Trust place. The understanding what it means to be comforted, welcoming, and when you've been disabled, when you've been discriminated, and you know you're put in sort of, you know, even though you're with people of your own kind, you feel different.
Yeah.
And if they couldn't feel they could draw, Harold would give them words like sad, happy, welcoming, what comes to you. And he said suddenly the difference it made to those people.
Interesting.
They would just come out of themselves.
Well done, well done.
And this is what art, I mean, it can be poetry, it can be music, it can be dance. But if you give somebody that stimulation, that interest, and to show that they are somebody worth. And this is what art can do. Because I say, when I went round that gallery at the age of 6 and 7, you could have heard a pin drop. I actually fell and broke my finger.
Wow.
And of course I screamed, so of course I had to be taken out.
Yeah. So what's this gallery, the importance of this gallery in this area?
He's joined up with the National Trust, and also we have stuff from, artefacts from our local history department, which is, part of it is next door in our Woking story. And so trying to bring history together, so you've got past, present and the future.
Excellent, excellent.
Incorporated in this title, The Lounge. And when you tell children that, you know, he ordered these, it would have he ordered them perhaps 1 year to come the next. You know, they didn't come by Amazon in 24 hours.
I like that.
But again, because of the pattern, everybody up until recently loved pattern in their life.
Okay.
Because for some people, life could be quite dull.
Definitely.
You know, they perhaps couldn't read or write or couldn't afford to go to the dance or the opera. So they needed pattern in their life. And again, okay, he's showing he has wealth, but because these were in the places where he would invite his courtiers or his visitors to come, he's showing welcome and hospitality.
Church?
Yeah, about 3 miles up the road. They were made by the women of Ingram Prison. Excuse me. Which at that point was about 1 mile up the road from St John's. And they are famous for, as it says here, Victorian Albert Museum. A lot of the museums in London have their floors tiled by these women. And about 20, perhaps 30 years ago, the church was reordered, i.e. stripped out, electrics needed doing, you name it. And for about 20 years, I actually went to that church. I probably could have walked on these tiles without knowing it, you know, when you're going in with children. And so all the tiles were taken up, most of them discarded. There are a few left at the top of the chancel and a few in one of the cupboards. And luckily, one of the members of the PCC brought these two to our curator here and asked them to put in storage. This is the first time they have ever been out on show.
Wow.
So, because Harold chose these.
Okay.
Because the pattern. And in my youth, when we could get the proper glue and teaching, I did, being arty, I did a lot of mosaic stuff with children.
Okay, brilliant.
Isn't that lovely? So these are very, very precious.
Okay.
And again, it shows the history. And of course, people would go in silence in those days. So they say walls have ears. How many, okay, they were on the wall, but how many sermons could they tell you?
Definitely.
I love that, you know. But everything just shows that, Everybody is welcome.
Recital from a poet, Janet.
Linger lazily, longing, luxurious living. Landscapes illuminate learned likeness. Occupying opulence, objectively observant, offering optimal oneness. Universal utopia, uninterrupted undulation, usually uttermost, unexpected. Negotiate, navigate, narration neatly, normality, geometric grassroots, grandiose, gracious greeting, eagerness, exploration, endless.